Hi, I'm Elizabeth Parsons and I consent to being filmed. I work at a women's clothing store in Fort Collins called Heyday, and I work with a group of 7 women who are all older than I am. I'm the youngest of 7, and they mostly range from like college-age students to women in their 40s. I mostly work alone when I'm at the boutique, so I really interact with customers all day and just try and make anyone who walks through the doors feel really comfortable and walk out feeling beautiful, you know, in anything that they're wearing. So it's really making like connections and just living with people, you know. There's different roles that girls have within the company. So there's a manager, there's the owner Jen. The manager normally works like a full-time, like she's a full-time worker where the rest of us are part-time. There's a social media director, so she runs all of our social media accounts, and then there's a special event planner, and then most of the other girls are just floor workers. Jen's husband is very involved in the company, and he has kind of like more of a like administrative role within the company, like does all of our payrolls and like make sure everything's running smoothly, but there's no men who work directly in the store. I don't think that there's ever been a specific time where gender has been an issue working at this store, since it is like a women's boutique and there's women working there. There are a few times where a man will come in and it's hard to like make that connection of like, can I help you find something today? You know, it's just kind of that like weird disconnect. But there's never been a real issue of like me feeling less superior to somebody else. So my boss, Jen, I don't see as a boss. I see her more as a role model and someone who really wants to better everyone in our jobs. I didn't see going to work as like, oh, I need to go to work, I'm going to work these certain hours and be paid for it. It was more of like, how can I gain this experience to become a better woman? And she really, really emphasized on that, of like, how can we better ourselves, and would always send us podcasts and gave us this book of how to become a high performer. And so we all read this book and like had these questions, and it was basically like how to become like the most successful woman that you can be. And it wasn't just like, okay, I'm hiring you so that you can run the store. It was like, I'm hiring you because I see potential in you. And it was all about like becoming a better woman. And we started doing this thing called Heyday Grows every Friday morning, and it was basically inviting women, really successful women from our community, to come in and talk to a group. It was like a panel. So women from the community would come in and they would listen to these women speak, and there was different topics, but it was basically like, how can we as like women in our community better ourselves and better the community? And it was just like the most inspiring thing. And just for like a boss who's selling clothes, like a woman who's selling clothes, like you want to make money, right? But she had so much more than just making money. It was like, let's become a better place to live. Heyday, I mean, I'm not in retail, I'm not in fashion and merchandising, so it was definitely out of my league, you know, to get a job there, but I'm passionate about like helping others and making women feel beautiful. And so I think the lasting effect that Heyday has had on me is just like, you never know who's going to walk through those doors, and you're never going to know how their day was or why they're there. And so it's just like making those connections with people is so sweet. And I mean, there's always something that you can do better in your life, and I think that Heyday really inspired me to like always do better. It was honestly so sweet to work with all women, and the best part was me being the youngest like worker at Heyday was I got to learn from women who have walked in my shoes and have had the experience in college that I've had, and just like getting to talk to them about why they love Heyday and why they love the things that they do, and then also having like that bond and that friendship with people who are like 10, 15 years older than you, you know, it's like we can still coincide and work in the same place even though we walk 2 different paths. I think specifically within Heyday, when we first opened Heyday, we did carry men and women's clothing, but there was just not enough of a market for men's clothing, of like nice men's clothing, you know. But I think in general it's like, if you were a parent, you'd want to see your children equal, right? You'd want to treat your children equally, and I think that's what employers should do, is like think of your employees as your children, and you'd want the best and like equal for both of them. You know, you're not going to give all of your money to one kid because he's your favorite. You're going to give it like equally to each kid, right? So I think it's more of like pay for their talent and pay for their work ethic, don't pay for their gender.